How's it going, everybody? I'm gonna be doing an eating video on a NFL divisional round recap here today. I'll be eating good old Munchos. I'd have done an eating video with these a while back. I don't know though. Just to really enjoy Munchos back in the day. They're similar in taste to a Pringle, a regular Pringle. They make a pretty good crunch. As for the divisional round, we saw the Chiefs beat the Jags, so they're going back to their fifth straight conference championship. They showed a thing like Mahomes has been to 5 in a row now. Brady, I think, went to 8. Or no, were they talking about? No, I saw that somewhere. Did Brady really go to 8? It's wild how like some of these teams have just really taken control of their conference and stuff. Because they kind of passed the baton, I guess, right? They would have, right? Because it was 8. Brady's and now 5 with Mahomes, so it's 13 years of at least having one of those teams in the conference finals, the AFC Championship. I'm calling it the conference finals. But they beat the Jags. It was a tight game, I guess. Mahomes got banged up apparently his ankle, so that could be a problem against the Bengals. But like I said, I don't know a ton about this game in particular, and kind of figured the Chiefs would win. But the Jags put up a bit of a fight. I mean, probably in part because Mahomes was a little banged up, but still, when you're a team like the Jags and in reality, it's an A-plus season. Like I don't think anybody picked them to win their division and then win a playoff game. Especially like 2-8, right? They rolled like 7 in a row or whatever they were. So it's still a successful season, in my opinion, for them. Some people will be like, "Oh, if you don't win it, it's not a good season." Only one, that doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense because it's like, if Denver made the playoffs next year and won a playoff game, I'd be like, oh my God, because they haven't made the playoffs in 7 years. Now, I've seen Denver have great success in my time as being a fan. I became a Bronco fan in like 90 or 91. So I've seen them win 3 Super Bowls. I've seen them get destroyed in a Super Bowl. I remember watching Super Bowls when I was younger, and I remember seeing them getting destroyed by the Niners, I remember. And I do remember the Giants beating them pretty bad. That was like 39-20, I believe. I would have been 7 when that happened. But I became a big fan. I remember them losing to the Bills in the AFC Championship. That would have been 92. That would have been the 91 season, but 92 AFC Championship. And then, so it would have been the 90-91 season. I think I started liking them then. And I don't even think they were good that year. Anyway. And Elway went to 6 championships. So, certain quarterbacks have a lot of success. But, Chiefs back in it. Do the AFC first. Bengals beat the Bills. Everybody knew it. Well, it didn't end up being that great of a game, but I don't think that many people should be surprised that the Bengals won. Allen didn't play particularly well, apparently. And the Bengals are just good. Like, Burrow is just like he's like that ice-cold quarterback. He has that swagger, and he plays with it as well. And he's having good success early in his career, too. This is his second AFC Championship now. So, and the funny thing is, a lot of people were like, you're thinking, oh, Bills and Chiefs are going to be the teams battling here. The Chiefs had, I think, beaten the Bills, right, 2 years in a row. That game last year was crazy when there was like 4 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes, went to OT. But then all of a sudden, the Bengals beat the Chiefs last year in the championship game. But everybody was like, oh, wait, here come the Bengals now to essentially just say, okay, Bills, we're better than you. Because right now, in my opinion, the 3 top teams in that conference are the Chiefs at 1, the Bengals at 2, and I think the Bills are kind of they're definitely the third best team in the conference, but they are a step below. The Chiefs and Bengals are the head of that conference, and they're very good. And this is kind of a revenge game, and the Chiefs going to beat them this time, go back to the Super Bowl for a third time, Mahomes, Andy Reid. Or the Bengals are going to go back to another Super Bowl, maybe get a win this time. That's going to be a good game, in my opinion. I think Mahomes being banged up could be a problem because since he does have a good day. But Mahomes, his health, realistically, he's the best quarterback in the league. And he'll put his effort in, obviously. So I think it's going to be a good game, regardless of who wins. I don't know who will. But you can't really count the Bengals out. Like, I think some people kind of overrate them because they kind of just came and were like, okay, now. Because everybody was really like I said, the Bills, Bengals. They all thought. The Bills, Chiefs. Those are going to be the 2 teams battling out every year. And all of a sudden, the Bills would have to get through the Bengals and the Chiefs. They didn't get through either of them this year. When I come home on the bus from work, somebody on Hicksville Road, because they're a Bills fan, obviously they are, but they're Bills fan, they had their Believe banner hanging up in front of the door. I'm like, you probably should take that down. The Bills will still be there, but the Bills are kind of, I don't know. The Bills are that team, I don't want to say like the Cowboys, in a sense that like now you're expecting more from them and it's not happening. They'll still be there, though. They'll compete. But that's tall order having to go through like teams like the Bengals and the Chiefs. They would need home field. See, the Bills, I think, need home field, even though they lost to the Bengals, but in Buffalo. But they would need home field, and they would also need. They would need to get like the Jags, right? A team you think they could handle, and get to that championship and still have home field. Doesn't mean they'd win, but to kind of avoid the Bengal Chiefs back to back. Bengals Chiefs be a good game, though. NFC. Eagles blew out the Giants. It was like 38-7 or something. Normally that would excite me because I'm in New York, so it's not, I hate to be that kind of fan, but like back in the day, I was like, oh, I don't want to see the Giants win. These fans, even though they have nothing to do with Denver unless they met in the Super Bowl, and the few times they played them over the years. But they were another team, though. They had a successful year. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game, Daniel Jones didn't look good like he looked the week before. And the Eagles look dominant. They got Hurts back now. He seems to be going full throttle. They got a good team. Obviously. But, whatever. Giants getting destroyed or playing it close. They won a playoff game, and they made the playoffs for them. That's a big deal. Now, of course, similar to the Jags, you kind of need to build off that because all of a sudden both those teams go 6-11 or whatever next year. You're like, well, that was a blowout. Like I said, I don't know much about that. I just know they got blown out. And the Eagles were clearly dominant in that game. The Cowboys lost to the Niners. So you got Niners-Eagles matchup. That's in Philly, right? Right? That is in Philly, right? Yeah. Philly ended up with the best record, right, in the conference. That should be a good game. This guy Purdy, he played solid. Wasn't spectacular. The Dallas D did well. Prescott threw 2 picks. I saw even the Cowboys' official Twitter was like, and Prescott had 2 picks, saying it. Like a lot of the fans were blaming him. And he had some speech afterwards, like, we're getting over the hump. Are you, though? Like, somebody put their stats like Romo was 2-4 in the playoffs, 0-3 in divisional games. Right now, Prescott's 2-4 in the playoffs, 0-3 in divisional games. They can't get past the divisional round. It's crazy that the Cowboys, like I remember the Cowboys in the 90s, dominant team, win 3 Super Bowls. I think they went to another championship when they lost to the Niners. The Niners and Cowboys battled back and forth. And it's crazy that they haven't gotten to one NFC championship since, I guess, that third Super Bowl, right? Did they make another one after that? I don't think they did. That's crazy to me because they've had some amazing teams after that. For them to not make it is pretty wild. It'd be like almost like the Steelers if they had. There's certain teams where they have the history, they have the Super Bowls, and they're usually good, and then they're never really terrible, either of those teams. But that's crazy. But apparently Prescott did not play well, and the fans are out for blood. I think he's a good quarterback, so I don't know if you try to move on from him because then you have to replace him. It's like, I think with the Cowboys there's always like expectations with the Cowboys. I think you almost need to go into the season if you're a Cowboys fan. I mean, the media is still going to do what they do and just be like, hey, let's just play, and all of a sudden next thing you know, they're in a Super Bowl. But defensive battle. That guy did miss. The Cowboys, I think he missed a 5th straight extra point. But it was blocked, I think. And they hit some field goals, so. But I think both games are going to be solid games, honestly. I honestly couldn't tell you who's going to win both, though. Any one of those Super Bowl matchups, to me, wouldn't be surprising. You have some revenge scenarios here. Chiefs get their revenge on the Bengals. If the Chiefs and the Niners get it, the Niners can try to get theirs on the Chiefs from the Super Bowl a few years ago. Out of these 4 teams, if I was like picking a team I wanted to win the most, I'd probably say Bengals. I don't honestly, any one of these 4 teams wins, it's not going to bother me. I haven't, it's funny, as a Broncos fan, the Raiders were always the team I couldn't stand because usually your division opponents of the teams can't stand. And then the Chargers took over for a while. The Chiefs, you're not going to like any of them because you're not supposed to, right? But the Chiefs were my lead. Like, they were the ones I didn't hate. I hated the least. I mean, I don't hate these teams, but, you're always like, oh, they're winning. But whatever, at the end of the day, if the AFC West gets another Super Bowl, that's great in a way, so. But and just the Bengals, just because they don't have a Super Bowl, and that'd be cool for the city and the franchise and stuff. But if the Chiefs win it, cool. If the Niners win it, cool. If the Eagles win it, like, none of those teams bother me. It's not like a lot of teams don't bother me anymore. Like I said, back when I was younger, there was teams I couldn't stand. But now I'm like, whatever. I'd say maybe the Patriots never bothered me either when they were winning 1,000 Super Bowls. I think that was partially because Denver was 3-1 against Brady in the playoffs. But well, what are you gonna do? And they had a winning record against Brady for a while, but then Denver started to suck, and Brady started beating them, including with the Bucs. Like I said, should be good games. In terms of other sports stuff, real quick, Islanders are done. They're shitting all over themselves. They can't score anymore. They got destroyed again last night. Well, I'm putting this up. Yeah, I'm putting this up tomorrow, so I'm filming it Tuesday night. Portland's, they blew like a 25-point lead to the Lakers the other night. I mean, it was at the half, but still, they need to just trade Lillard. I can appreciate Lillard's loyalty to the team, but they reached their peak. They went to that one conference finals a against the Warriors where they got destroyed, but they don't trade him. He's a hell of a player, and I respect his loyalty, but Lillard get a chance to win a title because it ain't happening in Portland. It's not happening. They started off like 10-4 or 9-4, and they're like 21-25 now. Like blowing leads constantly, getting destroyed in other games. Like, and I think they have a decent team, but you need to trade Lillard. You should get a hell of a trade back from him for him. You should get some good stuff. Maybe a first round pick on top of a good couple, maybe two good players, not like Lillard's caliber, obviously, but because Lillard's still really good, and you gotta do it. The Islanders need a scorer. They were getting it early in the year, but those players aren't typically goal scorers, and they're not scoring anymore, so what are you gonna do? They're a decent team, and I think they'll finish over 500, but their division's too stacked. Like, you can't slip up. Even the Flyers are starting to make a move. Now, the only team that's garbage is the Columbus. And, like, Goudreau, it's like you could have signed with the Islanders. I don't know if they threw a bunch of money at him and he didn't want him. A lot of people said he didn't want to deal with the pressure that he had in Calgary. He didn't want to deal with that again. And even the Islanders, you wouldn't get a ton of pressure, honestly. If it was the Rangers, you absolutely would, but because the New York media hounds on the Rangers more than they would the Islanders. He might eat some, but it wouldn't be crazy. I would have loved to have seen them get him, but he's the kind of guy they need, honestly. Like people are saying, like the Islanders have Barzal, he's their star, and they only have one. Guys like Anders Lee and Brock Nelson are solid players, but they're not stars. They're saying like a lot of they played the Maple Leafs. That was the last team they lost to, but the Maple Leafs have Tavares, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. Like they have 4 or 5 great players. Like the Oilers have McDavid and Draisaitl, and even Nugent Hopkins is solid. Wait, is it he the one? Yeah, because Taylor Hall's gone and Nail Yakupov's been gone. He's solid as well. The Penguins have Crosby and Malkin. Even if you had a second great player, but Crosby and Malkin they're getting older now, but they were like, both superstars. So you can either have like 3 or 4 stars or 4, great players. Like I wouldn't call Brock Nelson and Anders Lee great players. They're good. I'm not going to say they're bad either. They're good players. The Islanders have a lot of good players, not enough great players. They have the goaltending to score them, but if you start shit in the bed and you can't score, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I think it's a little too late to tank completely, though. You'll get a pick. And don't trade. They traded the first round pick last year, but hopefully they don't do it again. They need to. It's hard for the Islanders, and this is similar with Portland as well. A lot of free agents don't come to them. Like Portland's had gotten guys, but they get guys in trades, and some free agents did sign. But like, it's funny. It's the same thing with the Islanders. Like people will play in Portland, or they're drafted, or they get traded, and they love it. Right? It's like, we love the franchise and stuff. Same thing with the Islanders. They can't get the free agents, but if you're drafted by them or you get traded to them, and you end up re-signing if you get traded, you're like, yeah, it's great. I love the community and all this other stuff, And the problem is they can't get the players in for some reason. Now, for the Islanders, it's a little bit more of a pain because you have the Rangers right there. They're going to scoop up the free agents they really want. It's the Rangers. They're an original 6. They play in New York City at the Garden, So there's a lot of glitz and glamour and stuff. You're in the city and all this, Some players like that, some don't. The Islanders don't. They don't do it. Like, if they can't, they'll sign free agents, but like for them to get a Goudreau, or when they failed on getting Kovalchuk a while back when he ended up with the Devils at that point or something. Panarin, they couldn't get. They can come close, but they can't do it. I think a lot of teams use the Islanders as a stepping stone. They say, oh, I can get this much money from them. Now you pay me more. And then they get more money elsewhere. But they need to be able to try to land. It doesn't have to be a superstar. If they can get like a star player, I don't know. Now it turned into a divisional round recap and me complaining about my two Portland. The Islanders I can think can bounce back though. If they add a goal scorer or something, I think they'll be fine. But yeah. Oh my god, I apologize for that. Thanks for checking this out.